So this past week I read 3 books from 3 different genres. Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm sharing the 3 books I read last week. I noticed that they're all 3 different genres, but I also noticed they're newer releases. I normally read books from way back when, like the 1800s or early 1900s, and these are all written, I think, from 2015 to 2020. So I was pleased with that because I don't normally read books that are that new. But these books were some that you have recommended to me and I had picked up along the way, and I'm excited to talk about them. So, well, I will start with my least favorite to my favorite, but I enjoyed all 3 books. So the first book I want to talk about is a mystery, and that is Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club. And a lot of you have recommended this. I think this was published in 2020, so it is fairly new, and it is all the rage lately. There is a whole series, I think, of these. I think they may have 4 now. But this is a series I've been wanting to get to because I've heard great things about it. And I can see why so many of you have recommended it to me. Because it's about 4 elderly people living in a retirement home. And they have their own club on Thursday that meets to solve mysteries. Solve murder mysteries. Unsolved mysteries that they're trying to figure out. And in the course of their meetings, a murder takes place nearby and they are going to figure that one out. They're going to try to solve this murder that's right there in their area. And it's very close to home. So they go about doing that. I really enjoyed this, but not as much as I thought I would. I enjoyed the characters. I love these characters. They were quirky and fun and interesting. There were a lot of funny things that happened in the story. But the mystery itself, the plotting, I had trouble with. I don't know why, but I was getting confused in this book. There was several places that it felt like it meandered off and it confused me on what exactly was happening. And I could not, there was no way I was going to figure this out because I couldn't figure out where I was in certain spots. So that was the only problem with this book, was the mystery part of it was interesting, but the plotting of that mystery as we were going along, I had trouble following along. I don't know if it was where my brain was while I was reading this or not. Let me know if you had that same issue with this book, or if you loved it, let me know that too. And also, let me know if I need to continue this series, because I did enjoy these characters. I thought they were fun, and again, there were a lot of funny moments in the story. I just don't know if I can understand the plotting. So let me know if the next book is this way. I think this was Richard Osman's first book. So a lot of times, you know, we have to kind of get the crinkles out as we go. And most of the time with any series, they get better and better. So let me know if that happens and if I should read the next one in this series. The next book I read was sci-fi. It's a science fiction book because it's about time travel, and it is The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. Now, this book is fascinating. It has the most interesting premise that I've read in a very long time. Again, it is time travel. If you have not read this and you don't want any spoilers, I'm not going to really spoil it, but I am going to tell the basics of the story. For me, I didn't know anything going into this story, and I loved that about it. So if you don't want to know anything about this story, just skip ahead to the next review. But this book was, and again, I'm not going to spoil the main parts of the story. I'm just going to give you the premise, but I didn't even know the premise of it, so I thought that was fascinating. Anyway, it's about this girl in 1965. She meets this man, and he falls in love with her sister. They get married. Time goes on, and 5 years later, the main character in this story finds out she's pregnant, but there is something wrong with the baby. The baby needs a heart surgery. Well, the person that, her brother-in-law, he is a time traveler. So he has come back in time, and he knows that in 2001 that she could have a fetal surgery and save the baby. So he sends her to the future to save the baby. And that's all I'm going to tell you. That is the premise of the story. She is wanting to travel ahead in time to save her baby. But as things go in dramatic stories, it doesn't go exactly as planned. And it has some twist in it and some complications. It is amazing. I loved this book. I couldn't put it down. I thought it was a real page turner. I didn't really spoil the book. That is the premise. But there's a lot more to it than that. So I hope that didn't spoil it too much for you if you haven't read it. For me, even knowing that, I would have still read this book because it is lots more. There's lots more to it, and it is fascinating. So that is The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. So I read a mystery, I read a science fiction, and then I read historical fiction by Susan Meissner. And again, I love Susan Meissner's writing. This one's called Secrets of a Charmed Life. This cover might look a little different than what you're familiar to because I ordered this from Book Outlet. I thought I was getting that beautiful cover with the green dress, but this is the one I got. But this was wonderful. It was my favorite read this past week. I loved all three of these books. I enjoyed all of them. But this was my favorite read because Susan Meissner knows how to tell a story. This one is set in the London Blitz. There are two sisters and they live with their mother, and there's a complicated relationship between the older daughter and the mother. And they are sent to the countryside like a lot of children were during this time period, during World War II. So they're sent away, but something happens during that time period. So it's complicated. I don't want to say too much about it. If you like historical fiction, I know a lot of people are tired of World War II. I'm not. I can always read a World War II book. But this one, I will say, it is set. It revolves around the London Blitz, yes, and it's set in that time period, but it's told in a totally different way from a different perspective than what I'm accustomed to for these stories. So I did like that about it. It is a dual timeline, but the way Susan Meissner tells a dual timeline, it works. She doesn't tell them the same way that most of them where they flip-flop back and forth. She spends a lot more time in the historical part than she does in the modern day. And that's what I like about her books, because I'm reading it for historical fiction, so I don't want the modern day stuff. And she gives you just enough of that for it to be a dual timeline, but we are in the past for the majority of the book, and that's what I like about her writing. Not only that, she writes a page turner and a tearjerker. I know I cried at least 3 times in this book. It was just heartbreaking, the story between these sisters and the mother and other things that go on in the story was just heartbreaking. But I really enjoyed this one. This was my favorite read last week. And I will say this too about Susan Meissner. I don't normally pre-order books, but I pre-ordered her book that was just released last week, and I've received it, so I can't wait to get to it. But she is just going to be an automatic purchase for me. Anytime I see a Susan Meissner that I haven't read, I'm buying it, because that is how much I love her writing. So if you've read any Susan Meissner, let me know. I have read Secrets of a Charmed Life now, The Last Year of the War. I can't remember what all I've read. Hold on, let me look. Okay, so I read Secrets of a Charmed Life, The Last Year of the War, As Bright as Heaven, and what was the other one? My favorite one that I've read. Nature of Fragile Things. Nature of Fragile Things. That was the other one. And that was my favorite one so far. But this was way up there too. I have loved every single one of her books. I mean, every one of them have been fantastic so far. So those are the ones I've read. I've read 4 Susan Meissner. I have her new release that came out this past week. I can't remember the name of it. something about beautiful, I think's in the title. And I can't wait to read all of her backlist because I love her writing. So let me know if you've read any of these, The Dream Daughter, Secrets of a Charmed Life, or The Thursday Murder Club. And let me know too about continuing in that series, The Thursday Murder Club. If you think I should continue it, does it get better with the plotting part? Again, I loved the characters, and I love the idea of these 4 elderly people, you know, solving the mysteries. I love that too. They made quite a group going around trying to solve these mysteries. So that was fun too. So let me know if you've read any of these. What have you been reading? Are you participating in any readathons or challenges right now? Let me know that too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.